Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
Good afternoon and welcome to today's episode of Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm your host, Craig Sager. We'll be joined by Najee Wilkins. We've got lots to cover today. We will have the girls wrestling duels recap, and we'll congratulate those winners. We also have that'll be segment 2. We have Tim Scott coming on from the GHSA, and then Dr. Millward from Adaptive Sports. Also, we will recap all of our stories from last week and talk about a little bit about this week's schedule. But let's go ahead and bring Najee Wilkins on. Let's get into these headlines. Najee, how was your weekend?
It was pretty good, man. How was yours?
It was fantastic.
What'd you do?
Yeah, the Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl again. That was exciting. And then I've now won 3 tennis matches in a row, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. I know.
Hey, 3 for 3. Hey, Chiefs going for a three-peat. You just did a three-peat.
Exactly. And when I won my 3rd match in a row, I knew it was a lock. So I wasn't even stressed out last night. And the exact thing I said I wanted to happen happened. I said, the Chiefs are going to win. There's going to be a controversial call. Everyone's going to be mad, and I'm going to enjoy it. And that's exactly what happened. But I was corrected. There were a couple controversial calls. It wasn't just one.
That's fact.
What did you think of the game, though? I know some of the big plays, the Xavier Worthy touchdown, that was one of the controversial. But overall, I mean, pretty exciting installment of the Bills Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely 100% agree with you. Definitely another really good, test, another really good game. I don't know. Patrick just has his number in the playoffs. Like, Josh is 4-1 when it comes to regular season, but when you look at the postseason, Mahomes is Mahomes is 4-0 against him. So, I mean, for me, I'd rather win where it matters most. That's just me. But, I mean, I think just what we have to say is he's an all-time great, Mahomes is, and he knows how to make winning plays when it matters. Sure, everybody's going to talk about the controversial calls, but at the end of the day, man, like, you had the ball with the opportunity to tie the game or go up for a lead. He just makes the plays, man. Every quarterback can't do that. No disrespect to Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, but that's just what it is. You got to take for what it is. He's all-time great.
Yeah, it was epic. Some other news from the weekend that we talked about the wrestling, but I wanted to bring up the Grace and Holy Innocents game. We talked about how big that matchup was going to be. Heading into it, you felt like Grayson was pretty highly favored. I think they had a big lead, but a 68-66 victory, very close game. What are your thoughts just at how well Holy Innocents was able to play with them?
They are special, and I love that you asked this question, Craig, because when we look at games like this, right, we'll see, okay, Caleb doesn't necessarily have, or Holly Innocents doesn't have necessarily the same talent that Grayson has, right? Grayson has like 4 or 5 D1 guys. We look at Caleb Pohl, Jacob Wilkins, Amir Taylor, and their whole crew, right? Kawan Garris, they got guys all over. Caleb definitely has good teammates, but you want to see that guy, that 5-star, that elite player be the difference maker, right? Like you said, they were up double digits. Caleb comes out of nowhere and trims the lead to a 1-possession game going into the 4th quarter, 51-50, right? Had a chance to win at the buzzer, but faced a double team, just kind of went off the rim. Caleb performed at a high-end level, and that's what makes him so special, especially going to the next level. You want to see guys at our high school prep level be able to be difference makers and going up against teams that might have superior talent to them, but it doesn't make a difference. He is that difference maker, and I think that's what Caleb showed. He finished with like 30 points, 15 rebounds. He made the difference.
It's so exciting. They're honestly the closest any team within the state has come to Grayson this season. I think it sets a great storyline moving forward. One other quick update, Brandon Anderson, North Cobb's offensive lineman, he was a all-state selection this year for our Mr. Georgia and Mrs. Georgia football. He decommitted from Tennessee just now, so that might be one of the biggest storylines heading into signing day coming up. What are your thoughts about that decommitment?
Yeah, that's huge. I believe he's class of 2026, so I still think he has time coming up. But no, that's big. I mean, like I said, I seen another player that was trending towards Tennessee, Braden Rouse, right? But I think these kids, it's still so early. Like, it's really never final until it's pen to paper. But it's going to be interesting to see what kids are at certain campuses for these junior days, because that is really the priority. But I think it just opens up for basically Brandon Anderson. He's going to reevaluate everything. And I think he's going to be a lock and a steal for whoever is able to land him. But I think he wants to reevaluate his decision.
Yep, he will be a senior next year. So, yeah, he's opening it up before senior year. But speaking of some of these commitments, Najee, take us away with headline number 1.
Yes, sir. So North Gwinnett running back Tommy Lafayette committed to UPenn. I kind of said this one. I figured he was going to go to obviously an Ivy League school, which is obviously huge for him. Previously committed to Stanford. I ended up breaking that commitment as well. But decommitted early before early signing window. Made the announcement on his Instagram. Had an incredible season for North Gwinnett this past year. Only one loss all year to Buford. Ran for 1,000+ yards this past year, 11 touchdowns, and a 12-1 record in that quarterfinal finish that I mentioned. I think he could have that same trajectory that we've seen a guy at Northside Columbus, right? When we look at Malachi Hosley, played his first few seasons with UPenn and eventually ended up transferring to an even better school, which is Georgia Tech. He obviously played his high school ball here. I think you're going to see the same with Tommy. I think education is very important for Lafayette and what he decides to do. But I think you could see a guy that continues to have great seasons like the first two and eventually transfers out.
Yeah, I think North Gwinnett, I'd have to look it up, might be leading the state in like the last 5 years in terms of the Ivy League. It seems like they have a bunch of guys go in there. Walton has a bunch too, but it seems like a bunch of them. Then Tui's brother, who's quarterback, he was actually a Harvard player back in the day. So yeah, they have a lot of Ivy League connections. All right, Najee, take us away. Headline number 2.
All right, a little bit of history. So Norcross head coach Jesse McMillan officially crossed 400 career wins in his illustrious career. We know about all the great players that have come through that program. It was in a win over North Gwinnett, who's an arch rival for Norcross, 70-62. All of his victories of Norcross have come since he's taken over for legendary Eddie Martin after the 2007-2008 season. Prior to becoming head coach, he was an assistant under Martin for 3 straight state title teams for Norcross from 2006 to 2008. McMillan followed by leading the Norcross to championships in 2011, 2013, and 2022, man. So a really big accomplishment for him and what he's been able to do in his great career.
Yeah, I mean, I love him as a coach. He's been there for a while now. He's such a just tall presence on the sideline. He must be pushing like 6'7". I don't know. He's up there. And then he's just such a good coach. The adjustments he makes, and I think Norcross is playing much better right now. They just play such a tough competition. They will keep a lookout for my rankings. They'll be out later today. But headline number 3, talk about Buford's defensive tackle, Najee.
Yeah, so Nick Maggio officially flipped his commitment. So he was actually, this is a really interesting, you don't see this a lot, but he actually signed to Wake Forest, right, in the early national signing window. Decommits and then immediately commits, obviously, to North Carolina, right? Had a pretty good season, 40 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, an interception, a forced fumble, and 2 fumble recoveries this year. Basically said, they're building something special and something that no one has ever done, Maggio said. I want to be coached by the best and be a part of a championship program. That was his reason, basically, for decommitting and going. Now, it makes sense. I think when you look at these North Carolina kids and the ones that are going there, I think they see this Bill Belichick effect is real. You know what I'm saying? I think that's really what we're starting to see now currently. And I think he looked, evaluated, like Wake Forest, a pretty decent program. But I like what Coach Belichick could potentially mean in my career. He's going to coach me hard. I can get the training I need. And ultimately, I want to make it to the next level. So I think that's where his rationale thought. He's coached the best of the best. He coached the GOAT, Tom Brady. And I think that he went, reevaluated his decision and said, hey, I'm going to go to North Carolina instead.
Yep, a Buford product teaming up with Bill Belichick. There's a lot of greatness right there for sure. So that is a trend we're seeing. All right, headline number 4, North Gwinnett. Miles Gravitt wins first Gwinnett Boys Diving Championship. We've been talking about the swimming and diving. It's a name to watch for. Junior Miles Gravitt won the Gwinnett County Boys Diving Championship on Friday at West Gwinnett's Aquatic Center. He scored first in the county with a 540.40. Just off the 539.55 he posted last season in a runner-up finish at the county meet. As a freshman, he placed 4th in the Gwinnett Showcase. Brookwood's Ethan Walker earned runner-up, 428 points, and Norris Ethan Klingenberg took 3rd with 408. Lanier's Ryder Cooper was 4th, and Archer's Joshua Heaton was 5th. You can go to scoreatl.com. We have swimming updates posted there weekly. All right, got one more headline. Headline 5, Central Gwinnett's guard Nalani Gainey breaks school record after posting a triple-double. Nalani Gainey posted a triple-double, including a school record for assist. This is the Central Gwinnett girls basketball team. They had a 65-16 win over Mountain View. She had 17 points, 13 assists, and 12 steals in the victory. Unconventional triple-double. In addition to 6 rebounds, she previously broke school records for steals in a game with 20 earlier this year and has 186 steals on the season. So you like to see that unconventional triple-double. That's Delaney Gainey for Central Gwinnett.
Yeah, I mean, hers is just a great story. I know before we transition, Craig, I just wanted to give her a shout out. I mean, a name you don't hear about a lot. I mean, you hear talk about top basketball players here in the state, but she's been doing her thing down there at Central Gwinnett, and it continues to break records. So I wanted to give her a special shout out.
And then we've been talking a lot about just girls sports this year so far with the flag football. We got a lot of great basketball being played. I mean, do you see this year so far has been pretty significant, kind of elevating from the momentum built last year?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think we're going to really see this when we look at the postseason this year, right? When we look at private, when we look at 2A with Josie, Butler, Thompson, when we look at 3A with Pickens, 4A, 5A, 6A, I think it's going to be so fun to watch all these teams go against each other, especially with obviously the power rating system and everything like that. It's going to be so intriguing to see some of these top matchups, and then potentially a Hebron Christian and St. Francis matchup in the state championship. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think the continued elevation, the shot-making ability, and how these girls are continuing to elevate their game at an excellent level. I think you're going to see it on full display when we get these epic playoff games that we're destined to see.
Yep. Not only do we have one of the best players in the country, we've got defending champs, the reclassification, a lot of young underclassmen stepping up. I completely agree. This year's girls basketball playoffs will be incredible. And then on the other side, we're going to talk about the girls wrestling from this weekend. Real quick, we had Greenbrier. They defeated Carrollton, the defending champs. Carrollton finished second. That was a really dramatic championship victory. And then you had Lumpkin County beating Jordan, their first state championship. We had Lumpkin County on the show last week to talk about it. They were the host site, and they were able to win it. First time that the divisions were split up. So they had a great season, but we'll be back on the other side. Thank you for joining us, Najee. Stay tuned. We'll be back after the break.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613. Right now we have a new segment. It is the BSN Sports Weekend Recap. We got a lot of different sports to break down. We'll start with wrestling, though. I got Najee Wilkins joining me. Real quick, I'm just going to run through what we saw this week at Lumpkin County. So Greenbrier outlasted two-time state champion Carrollton to win the Division I champion. And then in the newly, you see right there, Greenbrier celebrating that first ever victory, beating Carrollton. And then in Division II, you had host Lumpkin County defeating Jordan to win the title at the GHSA Girls Team Duels. This was on Saturday. Greenbrier opened the day with a 48-27 victory against Campbell, defeated Richmond Hill 51-30 to advance to the championship against Carrollton. Carrollton advanced past Shiloh 66-18, McEachern 69-12, and then had to face Greenbrier in that championship match. Greenbrier secured victories from Kinsley Buckland 170, Stella Stankoven 100, Danya Ahmed 105, Jansen Drumgool 110, Journey Drumgool 115, Esperanza Hutron 120 pounds, Abigail Sekajipo 125, Kaylin Hottenrott 135, and Jaden Smith 145. So a lot of individual champions. After losing to Gainesville in the opening match, McEachern defeated Campbell and Richmond Hill to secure third place, while Richmond Hill earned fourth place. So that's a good finish for McEachern, definitely the best they've done in this sport, getting that third place finish, and then Richmond Hill at fourth. Carrollton at second behind Greenbrier. In the Division II, you had Lumpkin County defeating Hardaway 54-18, Long County 60-23, and then against Jordan in the championship, they won that one with wins by Maddie Mendoza, Monica McClendon, Faith Jones, Cadence Grula, Emily Wilson, Caroline Cunningham, Nora Garbuzovas, and Greta Garbuzovas. And now the girls will have a traditional coming up in a couple weeks. They will have to qualify. When we had Coach Alan Newton on last week, Carrollton's coach, he was saying there really isn't the 2-week break after the duels. They're going to go straight into it, try to qualify these girls, and then we will have the traditional. And unlike the duels where all 14 weight classes get to go, this will only be who qualifies the most. So we'll likely see some of the same teams, but the challenge will be, can Greenbrier sweep titles this year, and then can Lumpkin County? Usually when you win the duels, you have a great chance to win the traditional too, but we've heard them say, Najee, that this is the fastest growing sport in the state. We've heard the same thing said about flag football, but in terms of where it started, maybe just 40 teams now, multiple divisions, more events, seems like this is a sport that's beginning to take off.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you're getting a lot of attention to it. Obviously, I think you're going to see more media coverage as it continues to go forward, similar to, obviously, you said flag football, right? I think the first time it was televised was this year, right? 4 divisions, right? Seeing the same thing, now up to 2, as you mentioned, Craig. So it's going to be intriguing to see kind of how many more teams, are able to kind of join this. Well, we see different grants coming in to have teams kind of, jumpstart their programs so they don't have dual wrestling a part of the curriculum, right? That's going to be something interesting to watch as well, because we see a lot with flag football, grants from the Atlanta Falcons and several others being able to help out with that. So will there be other grants for people to get it started, right? What other coaches will we see maybe move around and start their own teams? It's going to be so many intriguing storylines moving forward, but definitely congratulations to Lumpkin County and Greenbrier.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I mean, some of these girls have wrestled before. There's club teams, there's girls that have even wrestled with the guys teams, but I mean, you never know if you're going to be good at it until you go out and get the training, get the practice. And a lot of girls have picked up the sport, and now they're part of this pioneering group that is winning the first state title. So it's a big deal. And obviously, being able to sweep titles and establish themselves as a defending champ in both events would be huge for both those programs. All right, let's go to some girls basketball results. This was a great story from the weekend. So Westminster's girls basketball coach, his name is Alex Ritchie. He's taken over. This is his first year. He played basketball at Centennial. He was an all-star player for the Knights, a 1,000-point scorer, and coached for 10 seasons. He returned to Centennial for the first time, led his Lady Wildcats to a 69-17 victory. He talked about his return back to Centennial. He said, basketball has taken me to so many places and brought so many incredible people and moments into my life that I'm thankful for. Tonight was one of the best. Coming home to a gym and a community where my love for this game all began, while now serving as a first-year high school coach was very special. The best times I ever had as an athlete were during my high school career, and it was because of teammates like these guys. The night is certainly more fun when my new group played so great and are showing massive improvement every single day. It is my hope that these young athletes will cherish these moments they're experiencing now, like I am able to from the memories created with my former teammates when I was at Centennial. So great quote right there, and very proud showing for him going back with this new team, walking his old hallway and getting a very dominant victory. We've seen Westminster on the boys' side and girls in and out of the rankings, but that was certainly a big result And another big result from basketball this weekend, Langston Hughes falling to Carrollton 54-42. That one might shake up the rankings. Then you have Hebron Christian. They defeated East Jackson 79-18, their fifth game holding opponents less than 30 points. Najee, you'll have the girls' rankings coming out. What's your take on Langston Hughes losing one of the few games they've lost this season and how they'll be able to recover from that?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good for them that they lost to a really good Carrollton team. Obviously, a really defining win of their season if you're the Trojans. And if you're Langston Hughes, right, you get to hit that reset button, right? Sometimes you need teams that need that. That's not to say that they're doing anything wrong, right? I've had them obviously at the top of the basketball rankings, since I've been doing them. But at the same time, you get a nice test against Carrollton. You can get to reevaluate where you are as a program, reevaluate some things you need to kind of adjust and fine-tune as you kind of hit that region play. And that's the good part. You want to be challenged. They got challenges in that one. Now they're going to know the different things they need to work on moving forward. They still got plenty of great players, great coaches over there at the Panthers program. It's only going to help them moving forward. And for Carrollton, this is just what you needed. As 6A play heats up and region play heats up, you now know, hey, I can hang with a top-end opponent.
Yep, and then another team that we saw maybe last week not play their best game was the Wheeler boys. They struggled for about a half against Etowah, let them get back in the game. They're playing extremely well right now. They had probably the biggest win, I'd say, this last week, defeating Milton 82-52, just total dominance from Wheeler as they head into this back part of their schedule for the final month. I mean, how big is this win for Wheeler moving forward, trying to be that number one team in Class 6A to get that big win over a Milton team like that?
Yeah, they just have so many guys that can come at you. I got something coming out later today, just a little bit about that Wheeler team, and they got a guy that's, I think, one of the best two-way players in the state, regardless of position, in Coda Settle. You look at Coben Landry, who's a four-star prospect. He can score anywhere on the floor. I seen he made a pump fake move against two people and hit an and one bucket. He could do just a little bit of everything. And then they got a guy that can heat up, that as soon as he gets on the heater, good luck. And that's Mansour McLean. No one ever talks about him. But in that game, he hit 3 consecutive threes to draw out that lead to nearly 15 points going into the break. Like, when you have that, and I didn't even mention Tyler Jordan, who's an Ole Miss signee. When you have all that, good luck. And that's not an indictment against, obviously, a great Milton program who's going to be a contender in 5A. They just didn't have enough. Their great players didn't play great. Now, Josh Dixon did his thing, dropped 18 in that one, but the other complementary pieces didn't play well. Jaden Cole played well, but Daniel Ogiemi didn't have a great game. Geezer didn't have a great game. So that's kind of where it happened. But that Larry Thompson coach team by Wheeler is something special.
Absolutely, and we will have those rankings out this afternoon right after the show. One more story. We talked a little bit about Holy Innocents and Grayson, how close that game was, just a 2-point game. And then Gwinnett County's swim and dive championships were pushed back to today after the snow last week. And then we will have Brookwood head coach Will Hildenbrand and UGA commit Haley Dobson on the show on Wednesday. We obviously covered Bryce Dobson. He was one of the rare players that was a standout swimmer, a standout track and field athlete, and also a great football player for the Broncos a couple years ago. This will be his sister, another great standout athlete. Najee, what do you have on the docket this week in terms of your blogs?
Yeah, I know we're gonna talk about that obviously in segment 5, but just I'll give you like the first day. So today, obviously, I'll have I'm gonna talk about this Nike Elite Classic in the showcase, just a little bit about some top performers there. I got a recruiting blog that I'll talk about just with lacrosse, basically just kind of highlighting the top 2025 players from this class on the girls' side. Doesn't get talked about enough, but some top end players there. So I'll talk a little bit about that. That's a couple things that I kind of got coming up.
Perfect. And yeah, we've already heard some terms there. There are some coaches reach out. They want those Najee Wilkins lacrosse rankings coming out, but that will be probably in a couple weeks. You've done a great job with that. But we'll be back for the next segment. We're going to be joined by Tim Scott at the Jiu-Jitsu State to talk about their competitive balance meeting last Friday.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. We're going to be joined by the GHSA's Tim Scott right now. I got a really important segment to talk about their big meeting on Friday. Tim, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you, man?
Doing well. And so, yeah, this was an exciting meeting. You guys were discussing some of the new changes you guys have made. New proposals were brought up. Just first of all, I mean, how did the meeting go? Do you think it was productive, and is it taking you guys in the right steps?
Well, I think it was a very productive meeting. It's the first meeting of our reclassification committee. Give us an opportunity to look at competitive balance and talk about some things that the reclassification committee should competitive balance move forward. It's what they have to make decisions on. One of the things is if you score and you score high, there's an opportunity for you to play at a higher level. Well, that decision will be made by the reclass committee. Do we move one team up? Do we move three teams up? Or does that classification really look balanced and we don't move anybody? And also, not just move up, but those schools that have not had success and maybe for the last 5 or 6 years have never had a playoff game. Do they move down? And is it one school down or 2 schools down, or does anybody move? That's one of the class decisions that they'll have to make, and that's one of the things that we discussed among others. And again, it's just a start. We've got a lot of conversations to go, and we still have a whole nother year with what we're doing now, and we may continue to do what we do now. That's just going to be left up to the members.
That's right. And then you mentioned you have another year, so it's a 2-year cycle. This is the second year of it. When do the next set of enrollment numbers come out? And do you guys look at those to place the schools and then apply this competitive balance model?
That would be a decision that the reclassification committee would make, but those numbers would typically come out around October after DOE takes their FTE count, and we would get those numbers at that time.
Okay, and then Kurt Miller has been a big part of these meetings. I think he's the reclassification chair the last few years with the GHSA. Talk about your work with him and maybe some of the new things he's trying to introduce.
Yeah, Kurt's a great guy. He was the chairman before, and one of the first things that we had to do, and to tell you how well he's thought of, is he was elected chair, and there was nobody else put up against him. So, he's going to be chairing this committee again. And Kurt's like I am. He wants to make sure that we do whatever's best for our organization and have those conversations. And I'm thankful that he is, able to help us have those tough conversations.
Yep. And then one of the other things, this probably wasn't pressing, but it was brought up, the fact that right now we have it on a 2-year model. So every 2 years, you guys will update the regions, potential classification changes. Some people have said, what if we did it by a 4-year basis? Have you heard maybe arguments supporting both sides of that argument?
Well, a 2-year basis, it just changes a little more frequently. When schools split or a new school is built, those kind of things. But a 4-year cycle would give us a little more time to look at data, to make sure that if we did a competitive balance, you're not moving a school just because of a group of students that were really good that came in and are gone. And that's been one of the worries from some people, is that, hey, we ever so often you have a really great class, and that we don't normally have those, and what if that caused us to move? So we get a little more time to look at data, but I believe even if we go 2 years, that we can pick up some back data, and it won't be that much different, even though some of the teams may be different.
Mm-hmm. And then in terms of these meetings, you guys reach out to a lot of the coaches or ADs, and you'll ask them questions about the competitive balance. You'll get their feedback, whether at this point they support it, they're unsure. have you seen maybe the meetings over time getting more people familiar with what this competitive balance is in terms of people having an opinion on it?
Yeah, we did a survey, and at the time we did the survey, we had approximately, and I'm going to call these numbers off the top of my head. I know I'm going to be close, but may not be exact. There were 80, maybe 85, 83, 85 schools that were in favor. There were 114, maybe 115 that were against. And then there were like 92, 93 schools that, hey, I've heard the presentation. I would like more information. There were, I think, 25 schools that said they hadn't heard anything. And then what was a little disappointing to me is we had right at 100 that didn't respond to the survey. But, you know, I do realize it was getting close to the end of the semester and that kind of stuff. But that's kind of where the survey stood. We will continue to do this. We've got some Zoom meetings that we've pushed out links. If anybody wants any information, school-wise, they can get on those links, and we're going to provide that and just try to continue to educate people so they can make an informed decision.
Yep, and then it's obviously tough because, I mean, some places have been good for football for a long time because maybe they've had a football program for 50-plus years where maybe they struggle in some other sports. I know you guys have put forth maybe a list of 30 teams that could potentially move up, 30 teams that could potentially move down based off their success. At this point, is it just a matter of discussion on how many could potentially move up or down, or are you guys still working on finding that out?
Yeah, we're still working on finding that out. That's a decision, and that decision will have to change throughout the competitive balance process. The first time you do it, you may move one or two. Then when you check it in another 2 or 4 years, whatever the cycle is, you have to look at the point spread. Is there balance? Are they close together? Are they really competitive? Or do we have two schools that's just really outdistancing others? And so that's really what you look at. So it would continue to be examined, and hopefully you'll get to a point where you're not moving anybody. You know, it's really competitively balanced, and that you've got them where you need them.
And then last question, Tim, in terms of this data you've talked about that you're gathering, I'm assuming the winter sports right now and spring sports will go into the final decision because you guys do have a little more time on this?
Yeah, we'll include everything and look at everything, but we also are trying to, show where schools are now, but we want to make sure that everybody knows that you may be in one place now, but there are a lot of schools out there that may not play football, and they may only play basketball. Maybe they're doing some spring type sports, soccer, track, those kind of things that wouldn't get any points in the fall, but could pick up some in the spring. So want everybody to make sure they understand it can change.
Absolutely. Well, Tim, thank you so much for briefing us on that meeting. You guys can go to theghsa.net, look at more of the minutes from that. We appreciate you joining us, as always, on Monday. Hope you have a great week, Tim.
Hey, thanks. Have a great week.
You bet. All right. So there goes Tim Scott. On the other side, we'll be joined by Jenny Millward with Adaptive Sports to talk about her new initiatives.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85
when you turn out, you can be hitting six figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
Welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. Right now, we're going to talk with Dr. Jenny Millward of the Adaptive Sports. Thank you so much for joining us. How's it going?
Everything's great. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So this new position you've stepped into, it looks like you're just the third to take over this role in about 29 years. You come from Houston County. Let's start there with Houston County. We've seen the Sharks. The basketball program's been the biggest dynasty in that regard. What was your experience like just working at Houston County with the student services?
Sure, I'd love to start there. We had just a phenomenal teacher leader come forward to administration to pitch the idea. Christy Jones, who is with ASP as an outreach director currently, she pitched it to district level administration, the idea of bringing in this opportunity for our students with physical disabilities. And we knew our community would embrace it, our students would love it. And so 18 years ago, the Sharks came to be. And since that time, they have earned 39 championships across the three sports. That would be handball, wheelchair, and wheelchair basketball, and football. And so bringing home 39 championships, we kept having to add trophy cases and spaces for banners. It was a great situation to be in, and have enjoyed so much seeing our student athletes flourish on the court, and having these opportunities to participate in adapted sports and having the team experience like their friends do without physical disabilities.
Yep, and that is always an exciting part of the championship weekend. Obviously, Houston County has been the team that has dominated. I've been to quite a lot of those championship clinching victories, seeing them, just how exciting it is, how much it means to them to be able to have that success and really just put themselves on the map as that premier program. But in terms of ASP, maybe outside of Georgia, I mean, how big is this role just nationwide?
I'm so glad you asked, because I love to be able to put Georgia forefront. Georgia is the leader across the nation. They're the only state that provides this framework for interscholastic competition. And so what I mean by that is that we're the only state that provides it in conjunction with schools. And so it really sets us in a unique position to have a lot of influence across the nation, and hopefully we can have other states joining in. We do allow other states to use our materials, our manuals, our instructional and training videos, but while we concentrate on growth and expansion here in the state.
Yep, and then you will step in for the two previous people that had this position. It was the co-founders, actually, Tommy Storms and then Bev Vaughn. What was your work like within? And then do you see any maybe new big endeavors you guys are looking to just grow this?
You know, Bev and Tommy have done such a phenomenal job going into our 30th anniversary next year. Working so hard to establish this organization in the state. They certainly have left a legacy that won't be forgotten. And they are currently supporting me as I transition in as the new executive director. I'm learning so much from them currently at the same time, and it's great to still have them so involved in the program and able to really make this transition as smoothly as we can. So we're working on that transition right now, and I'm just excited to be able to take it from them and build on what they've created. We have so many districts right now interested in adding this to what they're currently providing for students with physical disabilities. We're currently in talks with 6 districts who are interested in expansion, and that's certainly what we're looking forward to doing in the coming days.
And then what were some of the things that Houston County did in particular to really just stand out and be successful just across the board in all these different sports?
I think it was really had a lot to do with our promotion. We allowed our team of coaches to present it at the school level, do sample exhibitions to the students in their gym to really bring awareness and to inspire children to want to try this competitive sport opportunity. So we had a road show to speak and went around to schools with some of our teams and members and really demonstrated their skills and what they were able to accomplish on the court. And so it really brought that awareness, and then we just increased in student engagement and interest to the point we had to add a junior varsity team. So Houston County went from 1 team to 2 teams, able to allow that many more students to participate at the varsity and junior varsity levels. And I give all that credit to our coaches and the excitement that they took it around to the schools and showcased it.
And then in this new role, when did you become named in this new position? Was it pretty recent?
Yeah, so I started January 6th, so just earlier this month. And so I've been here for just a few weeks. And like I said, working with Bev and Tommy, the co-founders, on just making sure that I have the foundation I need, and looking forward to engaging with stakeholders across the state and making sure they have all the resources they need for this program to expand.
And then one of the things you guys have done also, I think it's called the Aspire Awards. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's such a phenomenal event that we hold annually, and we're able to recognize the accomplishment of children, just what adults put into it as well, as far as the district level, media who supports us. And so it's a phenomenal event. We have a beautiful dinner, and we're able to showcase and really highlight the accomplishments of the year.
And then I think you had mentioned something about maybe 6 areas you guys are looking at maybe growing or getting established. What parts of Georgia have you seen that are interested in trying to follow the model of Houston County or the Gwinnett areas? And then what parts of the states are still maybe underserved in this?
Sure. So we're actually seeing interest across the state. That's great. We want to build networks across the state and make sure that it's as close and convenient for everyone to be able to participate. And so there really isn't one area that stands out. We're getting interest from across the state, east, west, north, and south, and that's exciting. And we're really hoping and promoting our March 8th championship game. We hope to bring in people, come and see us, talk to us, meet us, watch a game, see what it's all about and what it could be for your district.
Yep, and so that'll be exciting. Obviously, they'll have the playoffs to set the championship matchups. Real quick, what are the other sports that are offered right now at this point?
Sure. So we also, basketball, of course, is everyone's most exciting. It seems like that's the one that people get most excited about. But we also have handball, and we have track and field that students participate at the school level. And in addition to that, we have football. And so we start the year with handball, and we go into basketball and finish the year with football.
And so the football, yeah, you mentioned that's the final one. What have you seen just with the growth of that sport in your time covering this?
Absolutely. So, there was not a framework for that, and we were able to build it, make it happen. And so students are able to now participate on a basketball court in the sport of football. And so it's a really neat experience. I hope that you will bring us back and let us show some of those highlights as we approach that season.
Absolutely. And then you started in January. What maybe events are you looking forward to just the rest of this school year?
So the rest of this school year, of course, we're just starting in wheelchair basketball. And this is certainly an exciting season, and looking forward to the semifinals on March 1st and then the finals on March 8th. And then we'll get started with football and also some track and field events. So the rest of the school year has a whole lot in store for us.
And then in terms of the staff you're working with, I'm assuming it's not just you. I mean, who else have you been able to kind of bring in on board?
Absolutely. So we've recently brought on board full-time, we will be in February, bringing on Terry Grundeski as our communications director. She's phenomenal, and I know that everyone, I'm sure if you follow us on Facebook, which I hope you do, she just does a phenomenal job covering everything for us on the social media side and press releases. So we've just recently added her. We have a great team. We have Robin, who is our state director of games, Robin Hootzel. We also have Christy Jones, who is our director of outreach. And of course, we have that solid footing with our founders, right, working with us so closely with Tommy Storms and Bev Vaughn.
Absolutely, yes. Terry does a fantastic job, Facebook and obviously Twitter also. She was the first one that I met. She explained to me the rules, and it was very exciting just to watch that first ever championship win. Houston County impressed me, and they haven't let up, so I know you'll still be pulling for the Sharks probably. But thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on this. We can't wait to see the work you guys do.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. All right, so stay tuned. We will be back with one more segment. We'll catch up with Max to talk about everything ScoreATL.com. Welcome back to the Georgia High School Sports Daily. Right now, I'm joined by Max Waborski, and we'll have Najee Wilkins on in a second to talk about all the stories we put up on ScoreATL.com, recap it, look ahead to this week. But right now, we're going to bring Najee on. We have some big breaking news that Max just informed me on. Go ahead and take it away.
Yes, so it was just announced by the Gwinnett Daily Post that Parkview has hired longtime Milton head coach Adam Clack to become the program's next head coach. Craig, just want to get your thoughts real quick, what you think about Clack, and what do you think that's the future for Parkview football?
Well, I am very glad to see him back. He was one of the big names on the board with a lot of these openings. He, of course, coached at West Forsyth, went to Milton. I'll talk about what he did there, then went to the college level, went over in Europe, came back here, and he has a very kind of just matter-of-fact approach. Like, he's very transparent to what was successful when he was at Milton, what he wants to do. So I thought if you're interviewing a coach, he's such a breath of fresh air because he has such a detailed, simplified vision for a program. He's great with the youth sports. He wants to get flag football involved. And then when you look at Milton, in the 66 seasons before he got there, they had 2 region titles and only 5 playoff wins. They have not lost a region game in 7 years now. He led them to that state title. Obviously, Coach Rees is probably the best coach anywhere in the state right now. But before Coach Clack went there at Milton, they were not a team anywhere on people's radar until they had that breakthrough season. And they have not lost a region game since Coach Clack's first year. I think at Parkview, they have a lot of athleticism, but he's a guy that has that confidence. He has the state championship pedigree. I think it's one of the best hires they possibly could have gotten.
Yeah, and I just think from there, I know Parkview didn't have a ton of success this season, but with the success they've had in the past under Coach Godfrey and now with Coach Clack bringing him in, you really can just see they're probably bringing that mold back of what they've had in the past.
Absolutely. Najee, what are your thoughts on it?
Knock it out of the park hire. You don't get much better than obviously hiring Coach Clack. You talked about it, Craig, and the reasons you outlined, obviously, and very astutely as you did. But, yeah, when you look at Parkview, this is a team that's desperately searching to get back, right? Last time they got to the playoffs, they played against Colquitt County. They got knocked out first round, right? And now it's like, okay, we always know Parkview has talent, right? Can they get over that doorstep? Can they finally get and win a title, right? Can they become one of those powers in Gwinnett? Similar to what we see with, obviously, a Graces of the world and Brookwood back, in the 90s and things like that. This is a great hire. They're going to get them back to where they need to be. I don't know how quickly that'll be, but this is how you change the program to get to where you want to be. And hiring Coach Clack was a phenomenal hire.
Yeah, and then, I mean, we talked about his job with the youth programs when he was in North Fulton. We've covered the Sheriff's Cup. We've covered a lot of 7th grade games. I mean, the talent at Parkview with their middle school teams is off the chart. So I think he'll have an immediate impact, but if he can develop those guys, get them focused and ready for their opportunity, they're going to hit the ground running once they get to Parkview.
Yeah, they are. One last thing I want to point out, Craig, on that talent in the crop of GFL, a lot of people don't talk about it, but Gwinnett Football League brews talent every single year coming on to the next level, which is the prep level. It doesn't get enough love, but I want to give them a shout-out, too. So he's going to have some great talent to pick from, as you alluded to, Craig, from the GFL.
Yep, and we'll see who he brings on with staff. Obviously, that's going to be a big decision also. It was unexpected to see their coach leave for South Dakota. They did have a year where they struggled, but really it was just 1 year. I thought the year before that, they had a ton of injuries. It wasn't just Kyer Spain. Their running back was at Maddox.
Traylon Maddox.
Traylon Maddox, Georgia Tech. He was injured, so that was the reason they weren't that good 2 years ago. They had a bunch of injuries to their backfield. Last year, they struggled. They didn't have the offense. But I think the young talent, he's going to be able to get ready. That's going to be the key, and I think that's where he's going to really hit. And also, he's just such an energetic coach. I feel like that's something that's going to be huge also, just to get them excited and build that confidence. All right, Max, what else do you have to talk about, just last week's stories, some of the things that you were able to highlight?
Yeah, well, Adam Clack getting hired to Parkview is a good segue into one of my stories from last week, which was Chan Brown leaving Parkview to become the new head coach at Gainesville. Chan Brown, one of the most storied coaches in the state, with a record of 579 and 173 in 21 seasons with the Panthers, 15 region championships, 6 state championships, and 3 national titles, 17 players drafted in the MLB. Gainesville is truly getting one of the best in the state to lead their program.
Absolutely. Yep. Parkview has been that premier program, so we've been covering baseball a lot. I know you also wrote a story about Cedar Grove. They had a big hire, a similar situation where they had a tough year. They're trying to get back, but I feel like they're still going to be successful. Real quick, Najee, what else has been on your radar in terms of the stories from last week?
Yeah, man, lots going on. Obviously, you know, we had our rankings. I highlighted a couple players. As far as basketball goes, talked about Caleb Wilson's decision and him ultimately going to UNC, so I previewed that. You guys can also check that out if you subscribe to the Score Atlanta newsletter, as you guys can see right there. So go ahead and hit that QR code right there and get the latest there and go to scoretl.com. But yeah, we have a newsletter that comes out every Saturday that kind of recaps the week and all the great stories that Max, Craig, myself, Seth, Hayden, all of us do on scoretl.com. But yeah, I highlighted that. This week I'm looking more so to talk about recruiting is heating up now, as you guys can see, for football. So I have a story out on a player from Milton. A lot of people don't know about, but going to highlight him. Probably going to look at basketball, a couple of big-time recruits, guys to watch out for maybe in the 27 class. Still figuring that part out. Also, we'll talk about, obviously, I said the Nike Elite Showcase that happened this past weekend. So I'll talk a little bit about that, and then I'll look deep dive into lacrosse recruiting and the latest there. 5A blog, I'm thinking about the same thing, maybe seeing if anybody can knock off Roswell and their electric run. They're looking to go for a three-peat this year in 5A.
Yep, they dominated lacrosse last year, probably the best overall team. Well, that's it. We've already talked about some of the breaking news stories. Go to scoretl.com. You'll see word from Max, Hayden, Najee, Seth, and myself. And we will see you tomorrow at noon for another edition of Georgia High School Sports Daily. Thank you.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off. Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Are you interested in becoming